Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Sammie, and this is another episode of Sewing with Sammie, where we find new patterns, try them, see if we like them, see if we can do them, and sometimes make our own pattern. So today we are going to make a flannel jacket for the hubby, or a shacket, whatever you want to call it. It's by Indie Pattern, and I got it off of Etsy. I'll attach it right here. There is no video tutorial on this one, but a very detailed instruction with the pattern. So I'm kind of going to go off that and also just assume what I'm doing, which never assume, but we're going to do it. And I hope you guys enjoy. And also, Happy New Year. I've been gone for a couple months. I was way too stressed with my job, working overtime, trying to make Christmas presents. And in hindsight, I could have filmed those and edited them after, but I was way too stressed to set up the camera and everything. So I didn't, and I'm sorry, but I will make a couple shorts of what I made. And yeah, let's just get into it. I will see you guys in a bit.
So y'all don't really need an explanation here. Like, I'm obviously cutting the fabric and pattern pieces, but I'm going to give you an explanation anyways. This is the outside fabric. I am adding a lining in a different color, but I do that part off camera just because it's so much cutting and tracing and I wanted to shorten it. So we're just doing the outside on camera, and then I'll do the lining off, and we will check back in when we're starting to put the pieces together. Okay, so I have the pattern cut, but I'm torn. I can't decide if I want like the maroon on the inside or if I want it on the outside, or if I should keep it black on the outside or obsidian, whatever it was called, charcoal, and have the sleeve red, or if have the sleeve black, because I kind of like the black on the out and having the maroon kind of on the in, because he has so many maroon things. And then the pockets are another issue. I know I want them to be red, but do I want both to be red or the flap to be black? I'm kind of leaning towards this and having the sleeve black as well. I don't know. And then I have a bunch of my other fabric pieces there, but like, I don't know. We're starting off by serging our front panels. So this is just to clean up the raw edges when we fold it inside. And that's where the buttons or the snaps are going to go, whichever you prefer. You cannot get me to do a button. I refuse. So I'm doing snaps. But once we're done serging, we're going to bring it over to our other machine and do a straight stitch over top. About an inch in, and this is where I assumed when I shouldn't have assumed. There was 2 markings on the pattern. I thought the first marking was where I needed to fold it into, but I needed to fold it a little bit farther away. So it's a little bit shorter and smaller, thinner, I guess you'd say, than it's supposed to be, but it still works for my snaps, so it's fine. We're just gonna roll with it. I didn't want to seam rip after I realized. But yeah, once we're done that, we're gonna move on to the front pockets. First thing that we need to do for our front pockets is fold over the top edge, and I did mark it with slits at the corners indicating where I had to iron it down to. So we're doing that with all 4 of our fabric pieces, both the lining and the outside. I decided to go with the maroon on the outside and charcoal on the inside of the pocket. We're just putting them on top of each other to see what they look like and adding a sender logo onto one of them. So just a straight stitch all the way across the logo. And then we're going to iron down our other 3 edges, and I'm eyeballing it. It's about a 1/2 centimeter to 1 centimeter. Thankfully, my eyeballing worked in my favor, and all 4 of my fabric pieces were the same size. Now we're going to top stitch that top edge just to give it a clean look and hold all those raw edges in together. Set that aside and work on our flap. We're going to do the 2 corners and the bottom where it kind of dips, we're to a point. Just a straight stitch across,
cutting off the excess fabric, and then we're going to fold it right side out and top stitch over top, and then we will set that aside and pin everything onto the front panels.
Okay, after a lot of pinning and redoing and measuring and correcting, I think the pockets are in place. So we're gonna sew them on, but that's where we're at so far.
Grabbing our front and back panels, we're pinning them right sides together or clipping them. I like to use clips, and then straight stitching across the edge, bringing it over to our serger and overlocking. Then we're going to set the jacket aside and work on the collar. For our collar, I've clipped them right sides together, and I'm just doing a straight stitch along 3 of the edges, leaving the top piece open, cutting off the excess fabric, flipping it right side out, and then doing a top stitch. And I did run out of my thread, so I had to rethread with a slightly different color, but it's not noticeable, so it's fine. Setting aside that collar piece, we're grabbing our stand-up collar pieces and folding one of the edges in just to cover that raw edge, and then we're going to pin them to the rest of the collar and sew them. Hi. So remember when I assumed that my front panels were supposed to be folded over a specific distance, and it was wrong, but I said it was fine because the snaps would still work? Not fine, because the collar was too short. So I had to fold the panels over one more time and fix that error, and now the collar fits. Okay, bye. We're now sewing our stand under collar to the neckline, so our collar is fully attached to the rest of the body. We're stitching across the bottom edge, just a straight stitch over, and then we're going to fold the collar back upwards and have our little folded pieces that we ironed earlier hiding the raw edge. We're going to top stitch all 3 remaining corners, and then we will work on the sleeves. Now we're going to pin our sleeve placket to our sleeve, and I'm doing right side of placket to wrong side of sleeve because we will be folding it over to the right side afterwards, and we're just doing a straight stitch along the edge. Once I've done that, I bring it over to my ironing board and I fold over the raw edge of the placket that wasn't sewn just to hide the edges and clean it up.
Then we're going to flip it over so it's on the right side, and we're hiding both those raw edges and doing a top stitch across, and then we're going to work on the pleats. Now with the pleats, I don't know if I did it right, but I feel like it was pretty self-explanatory, and I just folded over my little pleat markings and then pinned them and straight stitched across that edge. So I think I did it right, but I'm not really sure. I didn't watch the video tutorial on it. So we're gonna move on to our sleeves, the rest of the sleeve, and fold them right sides together, straight stitch along the edge, and then go over it with our serger just to clean it up. And then we'll work on the cuffs. With the wrong side of our cuff facing us, we're folding over our edge and ironing it down and pinning it in place. And then we'll pin it to our other cuff piece, straight stitch along the edges, and then trim off the excess fabric, flip it right side out, and then we will pin it to the wrong side of our sleeve with a straight stitch across. Once we're done that, we will flip the cuff right side out and top stitch along all 4 of the edges. Now that we have our cuff attached, we're just giving it a quick press and then adding the snaps. And the pattern does call for buttons, but I cannot do a buttonhole for the life of me. I don't know what it is. I have tried several times off camera and I just cannot do it. So for this pattern, I'm just going to do snaps instead. And once we're done that, we will work on sewing the sides of our body together. Right sides together, we're pinning from under our armhole down to the hem and doing a straight stitch across, and then bringing it over to our serger, cleaning it up, and then we'll work on the hem. Last couple steps here, we've pinned the hemline. I folded it over twice and ironed it, and I also added a logo. I forgot to show that when we were doing the neckline, but we're just doing a straight stitch across the hem, and I am doing it on the wrong side just so I can get as close as possible to the end of my fold. And then when we're done that, we will flip it over and work on our snaps. Again, not doing buttons because nope, absolutely not. So I know I just said that we were going to work on the snaps after the hem, but I literally forgot about the sleeves. We folded the sleeves, we tucked them in so the right sides were together, and we're just sewing along that edge and then bringing it over to our serger and cleaning it up. Then we'll flip it right side out and do our snaps. You guys, this part really did me in. My back and my hands are so weak and tired and sore now. I was struggling so hard. So we marked our snap placements with tailor's chalk and are trying to poke holes with scissors because I could not find my hole making tool for the life of me. I looked everywhere, could not find it. This whole video I had to use scissors, but it's fine because we got the holes done. And then I had to add the snaps with my little like blue tool. I don't know what it's called, but it pushes the snaps in easier. It wasn't. I had to use 2 hands. My hands were so weak. So yeah, that's all we're doing here. It's just adding the snaps. Sorry for my little rant there, but it's done, and I hope you guys enjoy the final look. Alright, you guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. I am holding the microphone this time because I'm trying to avoid using my hands to talk. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!